The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
The most polarizing team in hockey is your Vancouver Canucks, and it's a damn shame because you look at sports in North America and there's probably not a more embarrassing franchise. And again, your Vancouver Canucks, okay? Man, oh man. The Canucks, Pettersson and Miller, they can't get over themselves for the fans, for a winning environment, and more importantly, Quinn Hughes. What a disgrace. Let's talk about it.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name's Kyle Bowen, and I'm pissed off. I've had enough. I think today's the day I realized that there's a chance, even though I'm just 31 years old, that I'll never see a Stanley Cup here in Vancouver. Cleveland Brown-esque. Did I say this was Locked On Canucks? Okay, you're Canucks every day, a lot of emotion. It is what it is. We're just fans at the end of the day. Don't look at me like a podcaster. Don't look at me like a journalist. I'm just here, addicted to the Vancouver Canucks, and this drug is hurting. It really is. I feel like I got murdered this morning. Anyways, this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is here, and there's no better way to make every play even more exciting with FanDuel, America's Sportsbook, okay? New customers can get what? $200? With a $5 bet if you win? That's crazy, okay? $200 in bonus bets. Like, Merry Christmas, okay? Download the app and head on over to FanDuel.com to get started. Now let's get into this, okay? And please get the comments going because I need some help today. I need you and you and you and you and you and you to help me cope. Because I'm getting pretty sick and tired of cheering for an immature organization, okay? Anyways, if you live under a rock or have a life, right? If you aren't as addicted to this team as I am, and in this case, wrongfully so, then you miss the fact that Jim Rutherford, the dude who said, I'm not going to talk to the media anymore, okay? The dude who said, let's not speculate about JT Miller and all that stuff, right? That dude talked with the Globe and Mail and Gary Mason and said it. And I'm paraphrasing just a bit, but he said it, okay? Pettersson and Miller and their relationship has ruined the culture and the chemistry of the Vancouver Canucks. And there's no getting past those two being Canucks long-term. Because, yes, in the short term, they can nip it in the butt. But time in and time out, Pettersson and Miller can't coexist. Okay, that's not the media saying it. That's not Locked On Canucks saying it. That's not some Matt, okay, in the comments saying that. That's Jim Rutherford, the president, two-time Stanley Cup winning general manager, Hall of Fame-esque type of guy saying that Miller and Pettersson have wrecked this team. And I know. Some people putting the blame on management, right? Some putting the blame on Rick Tocchet, okay? How come this leadership committee, did a couple things? How come they invested long-term in both these guys? How come they can't, manage this relationship between the guys and get these guys to come together and just win games, coexist with Quinn Hughes, right? But at the end of the day, we're talking about Miller and Pettersson, not a couple 18-year-olds. We're talking about one dude making, 8.5, another dude making 11.6. We're talking about multimillionaires. We're talking about adults. We're talking about men, right? Men who, after one season of success with the Vancouver Canucks, can't coexist, can't manage this relationship and just work together, work side Quinn Hughes, who's arguably a top 5 player this year, and help this team win. Those two cannot help themselves and help this team, and they can't lead ultimately this team. In fact, why are they assistant captains? I'm pissed. This news comes out after what? 2 straight wins? 1 point behind the Calgary Flames? And then you wake up this morning and you have Jim Rutherford opening his mouth. And again, the speculation is out there why he's doing this. Is he prepping the fan base, right? Is he prepping the fan base that the return that we get for one of these guys, if not both of these guys, is going to be underwhelming? Which can't be that surprising. I know the fancy stats like these guys, but you look at the proof in the last year and this season specifically, both these guys playing like second liners. And yeah, is Rutherford doing all this talking to pretty much create this environment or landscape that allows us to be a little bit more calm when it is Dylan Cousins for Elias Pettersson? I don't know. Some people speculating too. Is this Rutherford talking all this shit publicly to defend his head coach, right? And Rick Tocchet has been ridiculed time in and time out for his coaching habits, right? His coaching strategy, okay? Rick Tocchet being boring. That's why this team's not playing well. That's why Pettersson can't pick up points, okay? And is Rick Tocchet saying what he said today to put all the blame, not on Tocchet, but put all the blame entirely on Elias Pettersson and JT Miller? Which, to be honest, I don't mind. Because, again, those guys are in the battlefield, right? Pettersson and Miller. They're at war. Not with each other, just with each other, but, they're on the ice every day with the guys in blue and green or red, black, and yellow. They're on the ice with Quinn Hughes. And it is pretty obvious that winning is not important to them, okay? It's the truth. Their emotions, and I know it's 2025, but their emotions are worth way more than the workplace, which, again, sounds correct, but man, oh man. When there's others involved, playing the game of hockey, when there's so many moving parts, again, I keep bringing up Quinn Hughes because he's just that dog, right? Again, people blaming Tocchet for all the problems, for the coaching system, making us play boring hockey. How about Quinn Hughes doing what he's doing? Okay? Is he held back from this system? No, he isn't. Is Miller and Pettersson held back from, again, their feelings for one another? Are they taking it out on each other in the room and on the ice? Yes, they are. And Rutherford confirming again that they have ruined the chemistry of this team. Okay, this team is not able. They're not able to go out there on the ice time in and time out and stick to the game plan because they're not cohesive, right? Because two of the most highest paid players on the team, since since they hate each other, the cohesiveness is no longer there. They're not sticky. They're not a sticky bunch. They can't pay attention to the details. They're not a team. And it's a damn shame. And I said this off the top, man. I feel bad for the fans. I really do. I feel bad for Quinn Hughes. Don't get me wrong, but I want to swear here. I feel so bad for the fans of the Vancouver Canucks. Okay, it's 2025, and there's no Stanley Cup in sight. Still, and this is after what? Winning the Pacific Division last year, taking Edmonton to Game 7. We finally got a glimpse of a little bit of hope after a decade of just brutal mediocrity. The worst type of mediocrity, right? Never good enough to get a first overall pick. Never good enough to get a second overall pick. Never bad enough to tank the right way. And we're just bubbling in the middle. And then last season, everything goes right, and we love hockey again as a fan base. Okay, F all this drama. Okay, puck all the drama. Screw all the scrutiny. Screw dissecting the room. Screw playing the draft simulator and talking about prospects. For once in the decade, we were talking about the games. We're talking about strategy. We're talking about shift by shift. We're talking about those details. We're talking about hockey. And here we are again talking about bullshit. And what's it been? 54, 55 years of Vancouver Canucks hockey. Again, no cup right now. No cup in sight. And that's with Quinn Hughes, the best player in franchise history in his prime, getting better on the team. And it's, yeah, there's a lot of moving parts and there's a lot of people to blame. And go ahead and have your opinion about blaming the management, which I see in the comments, but I can't help myself and blame and not blame Pettersson and Miller. And who knows what happened? Maybe it was something so harsh between the two that they can never be friends again. And again, winning no longer is important, right? Two people can't coexist because again, the rift was created by something diabolical. We don't know what happened, but if it's just a personality thing, and if it is something that could be managed, yet these two are deciding not to do so, it's just a damn shame for a fan base that deserves way better, and for a fan base that has to look at this team and really look across the board when it comes to all teams, not just in hockey, but in all sports, in all professional sports, and be like, holy shit, are the Canucks one of the worst franchises in all of sport? 3 times this team has made the Final Four. Cleveland Brown-esque, okay? What is this? It's your Vancouver Canucks. And I should be used to this, right? I should be used to this. I think somebody in the Discord said that there's a reason why some people stop cheering for the Canucks, right? It's because of all this bullshit. I'm not going to be that guy. I'm going to continue drinking water and black coffee. I'm going to get to 110 years old. I want to see a Stanley Cup, and I might have to wait till I'm 110 at this point. But man, oh man, when you can't even rest, man. Like you can't even talk about hockey with this team, man. All this drama, man. Anyways, let's get to a couple comments, man. I've had enough, man. This comment goes to Elston Gunn, okay? He's saying, blaming the coach and management is misguided. If everyone played to their ability, we'd be competing for a division title, okay? Yeah. Again, if something between these two happened that isn't diabolical, like isn't soap opera-esque, isn't evil, yet these two decided to, again, let whatever rift they had get in the way of winning and get in the way of success and organizational success and get in the way of them being good teammates, it's a damn shame. It's an embarrassment. And we've been fooled. We've been fooled, man. And now we got to hear about it again. I mean, with Jim Benning, we were... With Jim Benning, we were already the most embarrassing team, the most embarrassing fan base. And, like, are we living through that again? I don't know, man. It's a damn shame, okay? It's a damn shame. Next comment goes to Callum. Okay, F6, Kyle. Enough with the monologues. Dude, I don't know what you want me to say. You want me to talk about 2 straight wins against Washington and St. Louis? I wanted to this morning. Then Rutherford opening his mouth. Does anyone have a problem with that? Again, in my opinion, the best organizations are, the silent ones. They don't let anything leak. But in the span of 2 months, we've heard Quinn Hughes talk about the situation. We've heard Rick Tocchet talk about the situation. Alvina's danced around the situation. threatening Pettersson with the trade too in an article with iMac, and now we're hearing Jim Rutherford do all this. And I know, I've seen the tweet, right? Gary Mason also including, not in the article, but in post, that there's a chance that these two stick around with the team for this season if Rutherford can't and Alvin can't pull off a trade that's appealing to them, because Rutherford did say that rushing this could, destroy this team. They got to make the right move here. But I'm just looking at the situation. I'm like, how does this team play a game tomorrow? You know what I'm saying? Like, enough is enough. So much noise. So much noise. Man, oh man. I'm going to be on for a while, though, man. Straight up. I think Trevor's coming on soon. Trying to get over my emotions here. And when Trevor does come on, I want to know, like, does he think that this team can get over this? We never know, right? Maybe Rutherford is doing this as a last-ditch effort to get this team going. Who knows? Anyways, let's shout out a couple of our sponsors, and Trevor will join us in about 5 to 10 minutes. This might go on for like 40 to 50 minutes. Guys, you guys can blame me. Callum, you can blame me and say, Kyle, shut the hell up. Like, stop talking like this. Just talk about the game. I'm telling you, the article that I read today, probably the most astonishing sports article that I've read in my lifetime. Considering where we were a couple months ago, like last April, last May, and considering that this is involving 2 number 1 centers on a hockey team. And to hear Rutherford confirm all the noise, it is, again, diabolical. It's insane. Why don't you keep it on the low? It's newsworthy. It's, for some, entertaining. And for me, it's just like, yo, this is embarrassing. Anyways, I'll catch you on the other side. Today's episode is brought to you by somebody. Why can't I find the damn ads? Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Yes, FanDuel doing its thing and getting prepared for the Super Bowl, man. Super Bowl 59 right around the corner. Super Bowl 59 not involving the Green Bay Packers, but they are involving the Kansas City Chiefs. I tweeted this out earlier today. Like, Canucks fans, think about this, okay? Think about the fact that you can learn everything about the Kansas City Chiefs in the next 12 days and become a diehard and prepare yourself to win the championship because you deserve it, okay? And you deserve to win big on FanDuel. Yes, FanDuel is giving you what? $200 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet as a new customer, whether it's predicting the first touchdown, calling the MVP, or even betting on the coin toss. FanDuel makes it easy to get in on the action with live betting all game long. You can adjust your bets as the games unfold and feel the thrill from kickoff to the final whistle, okay? It's just the way it is. You got to do it for Super Bowl 59, okay? If you don't have a dog in the race, have some fun with FanDuel.com. Again, download the app, head on over to FanDuel.com to get started and bet $5 if you're a new customer, and you'll win what? $200 in bonus bets. Again, if you win, that's on FanDuel.com, the official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 59. Do we really have to talk about the Canucks? Okay, you know what? Let's talk about the Canucks. People, we back doing this, and that's talking about your Vancouver Canucks. I'm dealing with some lag on the feedback. Let me know if I'm lagging on the YouTube side, please, and we'll fix that accordingly. I think Trevor Baggs is going to join us in about 5 to 10 minutes. Again, this guy's a father too. So like, sometimes I'm jealous of Trevor being a father because I wish I had something to hug when I got home, like a kid. And you know me, I'm addicted to my smartphone, so I'm hugging my my Twitter feed, and it's a dangerous place right now. Are the comments a dangerous place right now? Who knows? Let's read a couple, okay? This comment comes from Mel Vaughn. Okay, he's saying JT Miller and Elias Pettersson make me so mad. You ruined the team, and for what? Watch you both get traded and never be on a winning team. I mean, there's a good chance, like a 90% chance, that they'll get traded and they'll never play with a better player than Quinn Hughes. You know what I'm saying? And apparently I am lagging like crazy. I apologize for that. We'll fix that as soon as Trevor hops on, okay? This is going to be a long episode. Elson saying a 3 subtle delay. Again, Miller and Pettersson. You're not going to play with a better player than Quinn Hughes. That's what you get. But here's the thing, too, right? Time heals all wounds. There's a chance that these two leave the team. One of them leaves the team. The player that leaves the team, you know, they mature up. They learn their lessons. They're in a new environment. They don't have to deal with one another, and they win. And that's life. That's especially life as a Vancouver Canucks fan, okay? It is what it is. Like, I don't know. Hurts my heart, man. It hurts my heart, man. Next comment. Now, this one goes to SK93. What's the over-under on Pettersson, Miller, and Besser, and Demko being gone by next year? I think all 4 could be gone. The way Rutherford was talking sounds as if a lot could happen. And the only thing he doesn't want happening is Quinn Hughes leaving. Right? That's why he doesn't want to quote unquote start all over. He doesn't want to blow it up because that would mean, you know, trading Quinn Hughes or getting rid of him. And he actually did say like he wants to keep Quinn Hughes here forever. That's why winning is so important, man. You don't think a guy like Quinn Hughes wants to play hockey in April and May? And again, can somebody let me know in the comments, like, do you think there's a small chance that they can just, like, move past this? Again, I've never read an article like this. I've never seen been around a team this noisy. But can they feel galvanized by having everyone against them, whether it be the optics, whether it be us, whether it be the management, and just get together and win games? Like, can Quinn Hughes just, like, plead for that? Because, again, this guy wants to win so bad. And we need him to be here in Vancouver for a very long time. What a time, man. How did we get here, man? Like, am I in a coma right now? Am I dreaming? Anyways, we got Trevor Beggs here, okay? Trevor, hop immediately on. Let's see if we get. Oh, are you there? Okay, there. Oh, there you are. There you are. Okay, Trevor, I gotta fix my lag. Okay, you take.
Unbelievable, man. This Vancouver Canucks team. Did Kyle just kick himself out of the chat? Okay, Kyle is gone. Man, oh man. You know what? I've had a crazy day at work, and all I've been thinking about all day is what's been going on with the Vancouver Canucks. How this could possibly happen, that this team was finally supposed to be entering a cup contention window, and all of a sudden, it feels like the rug is being pulled out from underneath this core. And Kyle, I'm sure you've been ranting about it for the past 24 minutes, but you know, a couple of things came to my mind first and foremost today. And the first one was Jim Rutherford. Why now? Why make this announcement now? What benefit do you get from publicly saying that you have to trade one of your core players, that nothing else is going to work for this team? And the second thing is, again, it seems like all the rumors that we thought about this team are now true in terms of the rift between Miller and Pettersson. And unless like there was something that happened between them that was incomprehensible, it is crazy to think that these two guys, professional athletes at the top of their craft, can't put their differences aside, come together for the city, for the fan base, for each other in that locker room.
We're wanting to
And
win,
I get
Trevor.
that sometimes you don't get along with your coworkers, but
Sorry to cut you off on your little rant. For wanting to win. Like, isn't that the point of this? Like, don't you want to win? That's why when I see these things, I'm like, yo, do I want any of these guys on my team? Because if winning's not the number one thing, and I know it's 2025 and there's more to life than success at work. No, like, I'm sorry. But when you're in that dressing room and Rick Tockett's your head coach and Quinn Hughes is like your captain, like they can't put these things aside to win games. And that's how like teams have athletes who don't get along coexist. Like those athletes that don't like each other, they still want to win. But to me, it's like these two don't even want to win.
yeah, and it's been somewhat apparent with their on-ice performance so far this season. And again, we've seen it in spurts, but more recently we've seen it from JT Miller than we have from Elias Pettersson. But again, it's just like, is the fact that Pettersson's making that much money that much of a detriment to JT Miller? I mean, I'd be curious to go back and check out the comments from this episode, Colin, to hear what you've had to say, because if these two guys have quit on this hockey team, I mean, how do you come back for either player? And look, the easy answer is that winning solves everything. If the Canucks can somehow go on a streak, maybe they can put this all behind them. But the fact that this has gone on for, the better part of 5 years on and off, makes you think that what Rutherford's saying is true, that it's just not going to work in this market. But he had some really, really dark comments today. I mean, the comment about Quinn Hughes and how, oh, well, we want to keep him here for life, but we're going to have to completely rebuild if Quinn Hughes doesn't want to be here. The fact that he's even saying that stuff, I'm trying to think if Rutherford has gone off his rocker a bit. I mean,
oh, you think he's old?
Rutherford's been in management for hockey teams for a long time, and for him to make that comment and think that this is a good idea just to publicly air everything, to me doesn't make a lot of sense. Does Rick Tocchet have this team on such a stranglehold that they're choosing Rick Tocchet over Elias Pettersson and JT Miller? I mean, Kyle, we made the joke time and time again last year about how, the Canucks chose Rick Tocchet over Connor Bedard, or at least a chance at drafting Connor Bedard. And now, again, Rick Tocchet's been here for 2 years almost on the nose, and they've chosen Rick Tocchet over Connor Bedard, Elias Pettersson, and JT Miller. Does Rutherford not realize that coaches have a pretty short shelf life? I mean, to me, it's just a baffling, and this is going to be a day that goes down in Canucks history. I mean, I just started reading that book, Never Boring, by Ed Willis, and if that book was still being written right now, this would certainly be a chapter there.
Oh, 100%, man. And Trevor, man, I said this earlier. This got to be one of the most spectacular, extraordinary, diabolical sports articles ever written. Like, you're talking about a team that's 1 point out of a playoff spot. You're talking about a team that, it's just like learning how to win again. I know we always refer back to last year, but they're still relatively new to like this whole success thing. We're talking about a team that's dealt with so many injuries, and then this team wins 2 straight games, and then we see this article be written and released, and you're like, whoa. Like, if this was the NBA or like the NFL, like whatever team this would be featured all over ESPN. Like, this is huge. It's crazy. It's crazy. Now, I don't know, Trevor, I don't know if Rutherford is like, getting a little old there and off the rocker a bit. And as Elston Gunn is saying, like, maybe it's Rutherford's story time. Like, Trevor, if you can let the people know about your past life. You used to work with a lot of old people, okay? You used to manage the old folks home, okay? Do your thing. Like, maybe you know a thing or two about 7-year-olds. But a part of me actually just believes that he's been around so much winning in his life that he's just he's looking at these two players and he's like, yo, you cannot win with guys like this. And maybe he's publicly holding himself accountable for being fooled, because Alvin and Rutherford signed both these guys for 7 to 8 years, and he's just pissed off at these guys.
Yeah.
Because again, you can't win with guys like this, Trevor. Like, you can't. I'm sorry. Like, if you're again, maybe these two get traded and whatnot, and they evolve in their life and they become better teammates and understand that it's not really about one another. Like, it's not, no, it is about one another, but it's not about yourself. Like, who cares if you're the best player on the team or the highest paid player? Who cares? Who gives a shit? Like, you gotta go to war game in and game out for the person next to you in the dressing room. Like maybe they'll notice that, but right now it's pretty clear that I feel like it's crazy how I'm going to say this. I was about to say both these guys aren't wired like that, but then JT Miller gets into a fight with Braden Shen yesterday, and it's like, if this guy's checked out, why is he getting into fist fights? Like this is such a confusing time, man.
An incredibly confusing time. And again, here's a theory I have. And Kyle, after I talk for a minute here, I might hop out and hop back in because you're cutting out hardcore for me. I don't know if that's just on my end or not, but
no, I think it's me.
I wonder if a low key strategy here. I wonder if a low key strategy here from Jim Rutherford was that. I do wonder if, again, the organization is at their wits' end. They're wondering about trading one of these guys here. And I do wonder if publicly calling them out and embarrassing them like this might be the last straw in terms of, we're going to air this all out. You're going to have to deal with the consequences, figure it out in this locker room, or we are going to trade one of you guys. Like I do wonder if this is the final straw. I don't know if it's a 100% given, and it's not a 100% given that they're going to trade one of these guys, but it's pretty close to 100% at this point, right? But I do wonder if publicly embarrassing them is the final straw in terms of, again, figure this out, work together. The whole world knows about this now. And if you guys can't figure it out, we are going to trade one, if not both of you.
Yeah. So many things, Trevor. And I want to keep talking. I don't know how much time you have. Like, I know we have a 30-minute limit on this show, Trevor, but I really could care less today. Okay. We're going for like 50 minutes. I want to read some comments too. I know Kempner's asking me who I'd rather trade, all this stuff. I'm just depressed. I'm just sad right now. Like, I for real, man. Can the Canucks not be such a joke? 55 years in this league, been to the conference final 3 times. Like, just slow your roll, know your role. Chill out. Be professional. Be one of the best. Take steps. You got one of the best players in the league right now. Like, just, man, oh, man. Change, man. Anyways, we got to cut the break, and we'll get to more comments, and me and Trevor will go through more of our, like, sports philosophy rhetoric around this situation, because I don't know. I truly believe that this is, like, wow, fascinating stuff. Like, I don't think I'm exaggerating. I'm like, yo, this is the president of hockey ops talking about the Canucks like this. And I'm like, oh, there's something else. Anyways, you're watching Locked On Canucks or listening to Locked On Canucks. Sorry for the lag today on the StreamYard side. It is what it is. It's karma. This is karma, man, for not signing Phil Kessel and for all this bad voodoo in there. I guess it's messing with the Wi-Fi connection as well. Again, though, you're listening to Locked On Canucks. People, we back doing this. My name's Kyle Bowen. Unlocked on Canucks, doing my thing. Apparently, broadcasting from heaven, according to Barney Boomer. Is that your real name? Barney Boomer in the comments. And I can't believe I just said that name out loud. Barney Boomer. I want to name my kid Barney, okay? Barney Bowen? That can't be your real name, man. Barney Boomer. That's beautiful, man. That's the best part of the episode today. Go Canucks, go. Okay? Anyways, let's get to some comments. Elston, man. Come on, okay? Like, why do you got to say this, man? To lose Quinn Hughes because of all this would be the biggest fumble in the history of the league. Okay, so here's the thing with Quinn Hughes. Okay, a lot of people talking about this. I feel as if Quinn Hughes, he seems like a loyal guy. He seems like a real captain, and I feel as if he wants to find the solution. Like, he doesn't want to bail on the ship. Okay, so I think for the next couple of years, Quinn Hughes is guaranteed a Canuck. Like, I don't think he's gonna listen to all this noise and like think about what Rutherford and Albina are doing and come to the management group this summer and be like, "Yo, get me out of here right now." I don't think he's gonna do that. But man, oh man, like, considering Quinn Hughes' age, like, I think he just turned 25 years old. I kind of understand where Rutherford's coming from when it comes to not wanting to rush a trade because he wants to get it completely correct. Because if he doesn't, I'm guaranteeing this. Like, if either one of these trades, because the Canucks don't have any prospects that could play down the middle, right? So if any of these trades don't work out, like if they swing and they miss completely, Quinn Hughes is leaving in a couple of years. It's a big trade, bro. This is huge, Trevor. Oh, I still think Trevor's out of here. Okay, the internet it's happening. It's happening right now. Like, this is the bad voodoo. But I can't be wrong on that, though, right? Like, I can't be wrong on that. They got to get one of these trades right. It's hard to believe that they'll trade both. Albeit, whatever one stays, they got a bunch of lecturing to do. They got to level up that individual who ends up staying in the lineup. Next comment. Look at this comment from Mike, man. Mike saying that these centers could go to 31 other teams and instantly become 100-point guys again. This system just doesn't score much goals. Okay, Mike. Talk to me about Quinn Hughes. Like, how come he's not losing in this system? Oh, because he's an outlier, right? A top 5 player. And Mike and Trevor, I hope you're with me now. But I don't give a shit if these guys pick up 100 points. I'm sorry. I don't. It's about winning games. And the closest teams, they win games. Individually speaking, these guys they're already thinking like individuals. They could do their thing and pick up points. I could care less. But are they on teams that win? That's the stat that matters most, Trevor.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's definitely going to be some apathy in this market if these guys do go on and have 100-point seasons in other markets. I mean, look, I think there's going to be apathy towards these guys no matter what, because they couldn't get the job done in Vancouver, not because of skill, but because of work ethic and the fact that they couldn't put their differences aside. And again, look, Kyle, you feel this way. Everyone listening feels this way. We all work with people who we don't necessarily like or see eye to eye with. But I know in a game like hockey, really, you do want your team to be like a brotherhood, and you want to be able to go to battle with your brothers. And the fact that this team, again, and this core has been together for 5 years, and really they've had one good season. It's a troubling sign. It really is. Now, I did want to answer this question from Carmen Graywall. And we'll both touch on it. Are you okay waiting until the offseason to move one or both of these two? And my answer is, as long as this team is winning games, I'm fine to wait to the offseason, because look, you're trading, especially after this report that came out, which again, to me, it makes no sense why Rutherford would go out and do this unless he's on that other side of 70, right? And he's just fallen off his rocker a bit. But the whole world knows that there's an issue here. And I heard some arguments about how, well, everyone already knew that already, but now everyone really knows it. Everyone's in the loop now about what's going on. Other teams around the league, they are going to take notice, and they are going to smell blood when it comes to making a deal with the Vancouver Canucks. So if this team still is winning games, which would be pretty remarkable considering what just transpired today, then I would be okay waiting till the offseason. I mean, if it completely goes off the rails here over the next month prior to the trade deadline, then I think you probably just take whatever deal you can get, because trade prices are usually a bit inflated at the deadline. So to answer Carmen's question, and Kyle, you can tell me if you feel differently, I'm fine waiting to the offseason. But if this team starts tanking over the next month, deal at least one of them before the deadline and see what you can get.
The only scary thing about that is, like, and you pointed this out yesterday on the playoff episode, like how's the Canucks going to make the playoffs? Like, you talked about how the Canucks don't have like the strongest of schedules or the strongest of opponents during the next like 30 plus games. And I could totally see Miller and Pettersson playing at the pace that they're playing right now, which is like second line tier. They're not playing at their highest value, and this team's still making the playoffs because Quinn Hughes is so good. Like, that's how good Quinn Hughes is right now. I'm sorry, this guy's good enough for like 1.5 goals a game, maybe 2 goals a game. Like, not just off his stick, but like the playmaking and all that stuff. And then you get good goaltending. You're like, okay, this team can make the playoffs. And I'm worried that if these two, like, yeah, we could win games, but we're not going to win the cup. We're not winning the cup this year if these two don't wake up. That's just the truth. And if we make the playoffs and get bounced in the first round and these two are like 60-point players, like, what happens to the trade value? And Pettersson's no movement clause kicks in like past July 1st, doesn't it? So it's like this.
Yeah, I'm not putting a whole lot of stock in no movement clauses right now, because JT Miller has no movement clause, and we're openly talking about trading him. And at least Pettersson, if the heat gets turned up on him in this market, he doesn't seem like a guy that handles the heat all that well. I don't think a no movement clause is really going to mean ish. If this guy, if say, they trade Miller and it's just Pettersson here, and then Pettersson is struggling, the no movement clause isn't going to mean anything. It might not mean anything because no team's really going to want him. or at least they're going to want him at a significantly reduced price. But to me, the whole no movement clause thing doesn't mean much in terms of Elias Pettersson right now.
Wow. But how about his value? Like, what if he actually finishes off the season? Like right now, he's paced for 55 points. Like, does his value go down a whole tier or two if that's actually how he finishes off the season? Like, can you still salvage Pettersson being Jack Eichel-like right now? Like, okay, for example, like, what if we do make the playoffs this year and Pettersson has 1 point in 6 games? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're right. You're not totally recouping that value.
Anyways, next question. I really like this question. Okay, it's from Boom Scoom. Okay, shout out to Boom Scoom. Okay, he's saying, what was the reason for re-signing both of these players if they have a history of not getting along? I'm telling you, Rutherford and Alvin and Tocchet assumed that these guys could coexist. Okay, that they could manage and just get the job done. We've seen like in the past, like look at Dennis Rodman. Okay, you think all of his teammates loved in Chicago or in Detroit loved Dennis Rodman? Hell no. But they appreciated what he did on the floor and helped them win games, so they ignored it. They thought they could win games with these two not liking each other, but you can just tell by the body language outside of our last 2 games, right? That that's not the case. I mean, the dressing room is not a fun place to be. Rutherford confirming that today. And individually speaking, there's been so many moments where these guys just look so disengaged, especially Pettersson, and it's like they're bringing that baggage onto the ice, man. And that's why I think Rutherford. I don't agree that he should have done this publicly, but it's so obvious that him being such a sports nut and such a manager of things is so disappointed in himself for like being fooled, but also just so frustrated and so embarrassed. And again, so disappointed in these two players for not just like lining up with Quinn Hughes and just focusing on winning games, man.
Yeah, it's disappointing on a number of levels. And, I want to point out this comment too from Alex Kostis saying Tocchet doesn't help the problem. He's a complete idiot in my books. And look, I don't think Tocchet is absolved from blame here. And, Kyle, you and I have been hearing reports that Miller and Tocchet are having some issues between them as well. So, and I mean, the part of the reason I bring that up is because, like, Kyle, I want you to answer this question. At this point, if you do just trade one of them, who do you trade? And it's long been, no, it's JT Miller. He's older. He's making less salary. Pettersson's got more potential. But I think right now it's a fair question in terms of, do you trade Pettersson instead? This guy's younger, which is the reason to keep him. But I think you could probably get more for him in a trade. And I know there's the age-related risk with Miller, but there's arguably a bigger risk with Pettersson in terms of the fact that he just doesn't bounce back and he's making that amount of money. And again, the catch-22 to that is, if the rift between Miller and Tocchet is, there's some validity to that, then you trade Pettersson, the more risky asset to trade, but the more valuable one in return. And you still have issues with Miller and Tocchet. I mean, like, what's going on with the Canucks right now? It's almost incomprehensible how messy it is. I know it's a bit of a tangent, but I'll let you answer the question.
Yeah, you lagged a bit, but I got 90% of that. Okay, so a part of me, and I can't believe I'm jumping off the wagon this quickly, a part of me is scared that Pettersson is not going to be able to live up to 11.6. And in the immediate future, again, Miller still fights. Look at the goal he scored yesterday, right? Look at what Miller did in the playoffs at times as well. It's like, in the immediate future, in the next 3 years, can Miller live up to his contract? Because the more and more I think about managing the cap, I'm like, yo, we need to make sure, especially if we're lining up this team with giving Quinn Hughes a blank check, so it's like 15, 16 mil a season, that they need to make sure every other contract that's on this team is living up to its value. And I'm just scared. I'm scared right now. I don't know, if Pettersson's not significantly hurt, yet it's like the dressing room stuff that's getting in the way of him getting onto that ice and just focusing on winning. I'm like, do I really want that guy on my team? You're supposed to be the leader. You got an A on your chest too. I'm being serious, man. I'm being serious. And then I'm having and I know he was so good in the bubble playoffs. Pettersson was lethal in the bubble playoffs. And maybe all it does take is Miller out of that room for Pettersson to unlock himself, right? Maybe Miller's holding Pettersson back, but I look at what Pettersson did last year in the playoffs. Like, you got the crowd roaring. You got home field advantage in the playoffs. You got all these moments. You got the crowd going, "Let's go, Petey! Let's go, Petey!" And you could call that corny or not, but isn't that energy? And you weren't able to use that energy to produce anything for this team. Like, Pettersson had what, maybe like 6 points in 13 games in the playoffs, 5 points in 13 games. Like, it was embarrassing. Like, who is Elias Pettersson? I don't know anymore. So to answer your question, I'm sorry. When I see Miller dropping the gloves, doing his thing, I'm like, yo, and him getting paid 8.5 instead of 11.6. I'm like, I don't know. But that's a pretty stupid answer considering age, right? It's like, okay, here's the thing, Trevor. You know how like Pettersson's having a tough time dealing with the pressure that he's putting on himself right now? Like, oh, Miller's on my back. I can't play my game. I don't like Miller, blah, blah, blah. And then before you know, it's like 20 bad games. You play 20 like invisible games in a row, and now the media's on you and all this stuff, and now you can't find your game because you're letting the noise creep into your head, your mantra, your aura. What happens when Miller gets traded? You know how much pressure is going to be on Elias Pettersson? It's going to be times 100. Can he handle that?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's fair to have a ton of concerns about that. And, I think I'll give one of the last comments here to Oliver Sholnick saying, which player would Hughes rather trade, Petey or Miller? And I think that's got to be a huge consideration too, because, maybe if Hughes is in Petey's corner and the team trades Miller, maybe that's what Pettersson needs. And we saw him perform pretty well in the 10 games where Miller was gone. But again, I don't want to put a whole lot of stock into that because that was 10 games. We've now seen 82 games of Pettersson, and it kind of with when he signed that contract or started negotiating with the Canucks in the first place. And you're starting to tie some strings together because obviously we don't know the whole story, but we know a good chunk of it now. Did Pettersson's game start to dip when the Canucks pressured him to sign that contract? Said they were going to trade him to Carolina. Maybe Pettersson didn't really want to be here because of JT Miller. But felt the pressure from the Vancouver Canucks. And, in that moment, at that time, things were good. But obviously there were some deep-rooted issues with this team. So, yeah, I do wonder if Pettersson's ever going to live up to the potential that he flashed over his first 5 seasons going forward for the Vancouver Canucks. So, again, I think what Hughes wants has to be a priority. But you also got to really think hard about how confident are you about Elias Pettersson bouncing back in Vancouver? And if that confidence is near zero, I think he's the guy you got to trade. But again, I give Rutherford a lot of fault today because he definitely did not make the situation better. He made our jobs more entertaining in terms of there's a lot to talk about with this team, but Rutherford made the Canucks job a lot harder.
Well, I think on that note, I got to apologize to the media. I think back in November and December when all these rumors were like coming out about Miller wanting out and the rift between Pettersson and Miller, and like it was like Spit and Chiclet saying it. Then it was like Rick Dollywall talking about it and Sakaris and whatnot. And I was the number one guy saying like, yo, shut up. What are we doing, Vancouver? Why are people in Vancouver media making this way harder? Right? Like just confirming these bullshit rumors, right? Because we want to talk about winning. We want to talk about all that happy. I just want to talk about hockey, bro. Like literally speaking, all I want to talk about is hockey. Right? But then this team, again, it started with Quinn Hughes, Rick talking, confirming the beef, Alvin touching on it as well. Also, again, trading Pettersson in an article. Like, what are you doing? And now we hear this Rutherford thing too. And it's like, dude, this it's real, man. So again, I want to apologize. I said some nasty things about the media here, and Come on. I was wrong. And there is a rift here, and it's ultimately held back the team. And that's not fair to the fans. And it's also not fair to guys like Teddy Bluger, Kiefer Sherwood, Dakota Joshua, Thatcher Demko, like Connor Garland. It's not fair to the guys that are bought in when it's quite clear that there's your 2 highest paid players are not bought in. Like Trevor, they no shit this season was going to be a disaster. You have injuries, and then you have 9 new players, and then like these players come into a dressing room, and then you got your 2 highest paid players hating each other. It's like, okay, this isn't going to work out, and that's why this team is where they are, and that's why this team is so lucky to have Kevin Lankinen. Yeah, we're lucky to have Quinn Hughes, but we're so because goaltending is like the base, like it like protects your team, right? Like Like when you get goaltending like that, just buys you time. The next thing you know, you're in the third period, or you're late in the second. You get that game winning goal. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're so lucky because without Kevin Lankinen, I am so convinced that we would be a lottery team right now, based on how much toxic vibes are in that room. And it's not fair to the fans, man. I know I'm all over the place, but I'm just so sick of this shit, man. Like, Canucks fans deserve way better, and we've been around for a long time. And it's like, what, 55 years of nothing. Again, 3 times past the second round. I've said that 3 times in this episode. I had to do it. And it's like, you're going to really bounce back after last season and increase your ticket prices and do all these things. And Pettersson, you're going to sign an $11.6 million contract. And same thing with JT Miller. Like you just signed an $8.5 million contract, and this is how you're going to treat your fans. This is how you're going to treat the blue and green. That's how you can, that's how you're going to treat the crest. Really? A lot of individualism. I hate that shit, man.
Yeah, it's not fair to the fans. And just to clarify, JT Miller making $8 million flat, not 8.5. So Pettersson making a full 3.6 million more than him. A couple more comments I wanted to get to, Kyle, before we get out of here. One was from Carmen Graywall saying that Patrick Johnson had a tweet that it's going to be Miller and Pettersson traded. It won't be just Pettersson traded. I trust PJ. He's a dialed-in guy. He's definitely one of my favorite guys in Canucks media, and it kind of alludes to what we're hearing, Kyle, about the possible Miller-Tocchet rift. If there is a Miller-Tocchet rift and you trade Pettersson,
okay,
you still have a Miller-Tocchet situation that's going on that's also weighing on the team, potentially, if what we hear is accurate. And then one comment here I wanted to give to Quaddy, saying Rutherford just prepping everyone that they're about to lose a trade because they're trading distressed assets. And yeah, I do wonder if Rutherford's going for the PR win, but to me, it's not a PR win regardless, because he didn't do himself any favors today. And whether you trade distressed assets or not, I mean, we've all heard the rumors. I don't think Rutherford had to come out and say what he said. If they trade those guys for pennies on the dollar, fans are going to be pissed. It doesn't really matter what Jim Rutherford has to say about it.
I can't believe that's going to happen, man. And I want to preface this too. I preface 2 things. I know we're just ranting here, and this is the longest episode of Locked On Canucks history, but like, if those 2 get traded and again they pick up a bunch of points, I could care less. Like again, winning matters to me. Okay, winning matters to me. I'm pretty sure Matthew Tkachuk and Alexander Barkov had way less points than they had the year before. Maybe not on Barkov, but definitely with Matthew Tkachuk. And what did they do? They won the Stanley Cup. Okay, who cares? I just want wins. So let them have individual success somewhere else. Whoever we bring in, if they're bought in and they just follow Quinn Hughes' lead, I'm all in for it. Okay, I'm all in for it. And this whole Tocchet thing, I know a lot of people are mad at Tocchet. And Trevor, I feel as if you're not okay with Rutherford now being picking Tocchet over the players. But it's like, yo, those 2 guys have been here for 400 plus games. They've been wearing the blue and green for that long. And they're not wired right. You know what I'm saying? So maybe they want to make sure they have Tocchet in that room just to guide. And I know he's had a lot of trouble guiding Pettersson and Miller, but those 2 make so much money. It's kind of hard to, you know what I'm saying, manage guys like that when they're making like way more money than the coach and they're just like these divas. Like, maybe it's mission impossible with those 2, but at the same time, I don't want to be an organization. I know we're going to trade some number 1 centers, but I don't want to just be bouncing around from head coach to head coach, because here's the thing. Rick Tocchet, he's Quinn Hughes' favorite coach. So if Quinn Hughes, if he messes with Rick Tocchet, then you keep Rick Tocchet. I'm sorry, that's what you do, because you listen to Quinn Hughes.
Yeah, but also Quinn Hughes is not going to be Quinn Hughes is going to be with the Vancouver Canucks longer than Rick Tocchet. I think that's the other thing that's important to remember too. Unless Rick Tocchet is the next John Cooper. Yeah, unless Rick Tocchet is the next John Cooper, but the Canucks got to be winning Stanley Cups if that's got to be the case. I know Derek Whelan in the comments saying, leave it on a positive, Kyle and Trevor, the sexy beaches. I also wanted to throw this comment from Syndicate, which is the opposite of that, saying you have to be a masochist in order to be a Vancouver Canucks fan. It's a mandatory prerequisite. And Kyle, you and I were born into this. I don't know if we were masochists, but we've become masochists now. But no matter what happens with this Vancouver Canucks team, Kyle and I will try to, keep it entertaining. It'll always be emotional, but we'll try to keep it fun as well. Today, I don't know if I'd necessarily call it a fun day, but it certainly wasn't a dull day. But Kyle, this is going to be the craziest hump day of all time tomorrow. Watching the Vancouver Canucks.
How is there a game tomorrow
after what happened today?
Dude, like, how are these guys going to answer questions? You know what I'm saying? Like, we should have known that this stuff was about to happen again. Like, Rutherford, Rick Tocchet and Quinn Hughes, sometime in December, said what they had to say about Pettersson and Miller, and those two completely ignored the fact that their captain admitted that they had a rift. That we should have known, like, something else was going to come about. And it's like, yeah. Anyways, go Canucks, go. Let's see what happens tomorrow, bro. There's still that 1% chance. You want to talk about positivity? Like, the Canucks have never won a Stanley Cup before. We don't know the recipe. Maybe this is our 30 for 30 documentary, and this is how we get the job done. Maybe this moment galvanizes the troops. Maybe tomorrow is the day where we see Miller and Pettersson. Like, you want to talk about, like, what I want to see? It would be so beautiful. I swear to you, it'd be so beautiful if Miller and Pettersson had their arms around each other and did an interview. Like, what if things can change in a day. It can change in a minute. And if something significant didn't happen between those two, like something harsh was said or some fight or some scrap, I don't know. If it wasn't that harsh, if it's just like a personality thing, if those two can get together and just mend all holes and just shut us up, that'd be a beautiful thing. And there's still a 1% chance of that. So go Canucks, go. Let's get the win in Nashville tomorrow. Yeah. Let's go make the playoffs. And Bagsy, sign us out.
Yeah. Shout out to the everydayer, the occasional listeners, the first-time listeners, the new subscribers, and those of you who join us on the live show on YouTube, wherever you're listening, whenever you're listening. We appreciate the hell out of you for tuning into Locked On Canucks. Kyle, thanks for carrying the show while I got bombarded with the day job stuff today. Appreciate having you here on the show. Always good to see you, my brother. And hopefully Miller and Pettersson can be as close as bros as you and me, buddy. If you like what we're doing, go subscribe and like on YouTube, on the podcast side. Go follow us and leave a 5-star review. And just remember, anything is possible. Go Canucks, go, baby.
Go Canucks, go. Peace out, peace out, peace out.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.